Today we are going to talk about worksheet 314, and we're going to do some functions, some domain, and some range. Some of the stuff you've done before, but we're going to make sure you know what you're doing. So the first part, a function is an equation that gives one answer for each value you plug in. Make sure that's on there. And if you need to during this video, just pause and then fill out your notes as you go. Domain, that's your x values, and range would be your y values. And I remember it because x comes before y and d comes before r. So that helps me. Okay, so for our first example, we have domain and range. Let me push this up for you guys. Our domain would be my x values, so I'd go through and I'd write 0, 1, 1, 2, and 2. Sorry, excuse me. And then I would say, well, I don't want to repeat them. So I put in my bracket and I put 0, 1, and 2. And I always put it in order from least to greatest. My range would be my y values. So I would put 0, 2, -2, 3, and -3. And again, I want to put it from least to greatest, and I don't repeat. So -3, -2, and then I'd go 0, and then 2, and 3. And then to see if it's a function or not, the thing that helps me is x's cannot repeat for it to be a function. So in this case, I look at this and I'm like, do my x's repeat? Yes. So no, because my x's repeat. Okay, now moving on. Try to adjust this so you guys can see this better. So we go to example 2. We have a piecewise function. And for a piecewise function, it's a little more confusing because you have to do two graphs and you have to make sure that makes sense. So x in the first one, this expression, x can or has to be greater than 0. So that'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4. It also can be like 0.5. So you have to make sure that you include that. The easiest way that we have found for students to do this is to just make a t-table. So you make a t-table here, and you fill in values that follow this. So it has to be greater than or equal to 0 or greater than 0. So 0, 1, and 2. I'm going to start there, and 3. We can do 4 of them. So I fill that in. 0 times 2 is 0, minus 5 is -5. And then I have 2 times 1 is 2, minus 5 is -3. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 minus 1, or 4 minus 5 is -1. And if I put a 3 in here, 3 times 2 is 6, 6 minus 5 is 1. So I'm going to go ahead and graph that, and I'm going to make my t-table just in the middle. Just like that. And I'm actually going to use a different color so it's easier for you guys to see. Oops, let me move this over here too. There. Then you can see the t-table. So I go over 0, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I go over 1, down 3, over 2, down 1, over 3, up 1. And that's going to continue. So I continue this line. I don't continue it this way because all of my x's have to be greater than 0. And I enclose this because 0 is part of the solution. So then I do this one. I'm just going to do this t-table down here. And all of my x's have to be less than 0, and they cannot be 0. So anything less than 0, I'm just going to include 0 right here. -1, -2, -3. But I won't fill in the circle for 0. Oops, sorry about that. There, now you can see it. So if I put 0 in, well then my y is going to be 0. -1, -2, and -3. Because this is the same thing as x is equal to y. So whatever we fill in for x, that's going to be my y. So I'm going to say it's not equal to 0, so I put a open dot on the 0, 0, 0. And then -1, -1, that's closed. -2, -2, -3, -3, and it's just going to keep going. So I'm going to continue this. And draw my line that way. Now, the domain. That's all of my x values. So going this way, it touches all of these x values, and going this way, it touches all of the x values. So my domain is all real numbers. My range, from here, it's going to touch all of these y values because that's going to keep going and going and going, so that it's going to touch them all, and it's going to touch all of these y values. So again, it's all real numbers. Is it a function? Well, this is when we do the vertical line test. And if I put my pen here, it'll only touch once. No matter where I put my pen, it's only going to touch one time. The tricky part is right here. It touches here, and then we think it touches here, but this is an open circle, so that's not included in the solution. So again, that is okay. It passes the vertical line test. So I'd say yes. I'm going to say because it passes the VLT, which is a vertical line test. Okay, now backside. We have a circle, and we don't have to graph it, obviously, because it's already here. Oops, sorry about that. Right there. So I have to figure out what from here to here, what it's touching, what x values it's touching. Well, it starts at 0. When x is 0, so I would say 0. So when x is greater than, when I read it this way, my x is greater than or equal to 0 because it's touching the 0. And my x is less than or equal to, it stops right here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like that. Now I have to do the same thing for the y's. And I would put my y in here, same format. So the smallest y that it's going to touch is right here at -2. So I'd say -2. My y's are greater than or equal to -2 and less than or equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. And then I would ask myself, is it a function? By looking at the vertical line test. If I draw a line here, which I'm going to do with my orange, if I draw a line here, it touches 2 times. If it touches 2 times, it does not pass the vertical line test. So no, because it doesn't pass the VLT. Okay, now the last thing for our notes for today. Calculate the x-intercepts for the following circle. And we have done this before, so I'm going to say my x-intercepts. If I'm calculating my x-intercepts, I'm going to say y equals 0. So I write everything down, and then instead of y, I put 0 down. Squared equals 25. I can't do anything here, so I just rewrite it. This is 4, and 4 squared is 16. I subtract 16 on both sides, and when I do that, I get 9. And then I take the square root to get rid of it. So x minus 3 equals plus or minus 3, because if I take the square root, I get 2 answers. I add 3 to both sides. So x equals a positive 3 plus 3 and a negative 3 plus 3. So my answers are 6 and 0. So really my x-intercepts right here are if y is 0, x is 6. If y is 0, x is 0. And that's it for notes. You are going to do your homework for tonight, and your homework quickly looks like this with some answers. Look at all that beautiful work. You are going to do numbers 1, 2, 3, and 5. 1, 2, 3, and 5, and then when I come back on Tuesday, I'm going to help you with the rest.